my husband.
Anyway, so all good. Anyone who's joining us today or watching this in the future, I'm Karen.
And I'm Jen.
And we're W2 Realty team. And for those of you who don't know us. And so today we wanted to come on. We've been doing some Instagram live videos on Wine Wednesdays and just having some fun catching up with our clients and our friends. And today we wanted to pop on to Facebook and actually talk about real estate and answer questions if people have any. And so I think first things first, we sort of want to frame this conversation. We obviously are in a time that is different for all of us, whether you're a consumer of real estate or for those of us that are realtors and in the industry. But there are sort of different ways to look at it. I mean, a lot of people are calling these uncertain times. And the thing is that when people are uncertain, that sometimes causes fear, which can cause inaction. We would prefer to call these challenging times just because a challenge can be overcome, and we're finding all kinds of ways to overcome the situation that we're all living in for the time being. And so there's lots of people have questions about how to buy and sell real estate now, whether they should be buying or selling real estate now, what's different, what's the same, and all of those things. So so we wanted to just answer a few of those questions for you. And if you have any questions for us, please feel free to comment with those, and we'll do the best we can to answer people's questions today as well.
Yeah, I think one of the questions that we do get quite often is, can we sell real estate? You know, like that's one of the first things that comes up and goes, if I need to sell my house or list my house or buy a house, am I able to? And the question is yes. Real estate has never not been an essential service in Saskatchewan and Canada, actually. So we have been able to facilitate those things. Lots of people respecting the social distancing and things like that and their own comfort levels. If it isn't something that they need urgently, they have maybe been holding off on purchasing. But other than that, we've just adjusted a lot of our, I guess, our protocol and best practices. But
sorry,
you can hear me. So I think some of that stuff has changed. We're being very careful. There's things called buyer and seller waivers that we have filled out that basically the buyers and sellers are stating if they are feeling well and that they haven't been traveling and all of those things, that they haven't been in contact with somebody with COVID-19, that they're not pending a test result of COVID-19, just trying to really make sure that we're keeping people as safe as possible. I know we're doing a little bit differently. I know you and I are, when we're doing showings, there's no more than 5 people, no children, and you and I, with gloves, are the only ones who would touch anything if it needs to be touched in the house. Yeah. Trying to protect people. Yeah.
So and speaking of that, on the reverse, what we're asking our sellers to do is before they leave their home for showing is to turn on all the lights, open all the doors that would normally be closed when we go into a home, even closet doors, open blinds and drapes, and then that eliminates the amount of any touching of a surface that needs to take place anyway. And then again, the only people that should be doing that are the agents taking a buyer through a house. So we're doing everything we can to make this as simple and safe as we can for everybody involved in the process. I think the thing is too, is a lot of people are just, the question is this even the right time for me to be buying and selling? And I'm sorry, I'm fussing with my hair. I'm on the reverse. This looks weird. Anyway, that's the $1 million question right now. Should I be buying or selling? So here's one thought process for all of that, is that right now what we're finding is people who are in the market as far as buyers are serious, because you wouldn't be out there right now if you weren't. We are requiring that people are pre-approved, and we want confirmation of that so that there aren't unnecessary showings. And so we're doing the very best we can to pre-qualify buyers and make sure that those showings really are limited to people who are serious. And that's what we're finding in the market right now anyway. From a selling standpoint, this could be an ideal time for you, because there are people who have pulled themselves out of the market for the time period. And what that means is that there are less listings, and that means less competition. And we know when people ask us, well, what's going to happen with pricing? First of all, okay, that's two questions. But on this topic right now, when there is less supply, there's more demand, and that means that so far so good, prices are holding. As far as what's going to happen to the market in the future, we don't have a crystal ball. We've been looking for one for 12 years.
Yeah, just 12 years.
And so far, we don't have one. And anybody who says they know what's going on, I guess, has a crystal ball that we don't have access to. I think the truth is, none of us knows what's going to happen exactly in each individual market. And every province is going to be different right now in Canada, just based on circumstances with COVID-19 and how that is being addressed and progressing. Saskatchewan is doing very well, flattening the curve. It looks like, based on that press conference this morning, our economy is start opening, slow but sure, but that's going to mean more activity in the market. And what we've been saying for a while is the effect that all of this is going to have on the market, and as far as sales and pricing, was really going to be dictated by the amount of time our economy was closed. And so the longer that would go on anywhere, the more it's going to affect jobs, and so then pricing probably. But if it can be dealt with fairly quickly and timely, as it appears that it may be here, then we may see limited impact on the market, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, and you and I were discussing this yesterday, is when we're searching through the new listings, which actually have been popping up more consistently over, even honestly, in the last almost 2 weeks. You know, our phone calls and questions and showings and offers has definitely increased.
We've had lots of activity.
Dramatically. Yeah. So that means people who have just been in this, just on pause for a little bit to see how this all unfolds. I think Saskatchewan has done a phenomenal job at containing COVID-19. And I think that gives some people a bit more confidence. And you're exactly right that if we were in a center where there was no end in sight and the numbers are just creeping at a really rapid pace, that means nobody's getting back for a number of months. So, you know, I think it's super positive that, you know, we're just over a month now in Saskatchewan. You know, the date I always use is March 15th. I feel like March 15th, everything changed, you know, for me and my family. And, you know, we're only at April 23rd now. So I feel like Saskatchewan hasn't had that much downtime. And surprisingly, the houses that are getting listed, if they're priced appropriately, and that's our advice, pandemic or non-pandemic, you know, they've even been moving in this. So I don't think
it's selling quickly, some of them, because especially if it's something in an area where there isn't a lot of competition with that particular property, we've still been seeing things sell quickly and in multiple offers in the last month. So so I'll tell you what we have seen, and we just talked about this yesterday, Jen, is just looking at the numbers, because the March numbers when our stats came out were very good. And it was, you know, in those last 2 weeks of March, because there were so many deals probably already in the process, March stats looked good. Our numbers were good, and number of sales were good. Everything was ticking up nicely actually in the first quarter. So we're hoping that this is just a tiny little hiccup in our industry. But what we're seeing right now for the numbers in April to this point, it does appear that there's likely going to be less sales. However, less sales doesn't necessarily mean lower prices right now. So where there's buyers who are thinking, oh, maybe I'll just hold on for a while because, you know, the prices are going to, like, you know, deep six. We're not seeing that that's necessarily going to be the case, to be honest. And sellers shouldn't be feeling like that either. So
yeah, I think the next couple weeks is going to be really interesting.
Absolutely.
You know, I think Premier Mo's announcement today is just going to give people even that little bit extra confidence.
For sure.
My hope is everybody still does take these precautions very seriously and not just feel like, okay, business as normal, because certainly don't want to end up back at square one. But
no, and social distancing is still being recommended. That's not changing. And how we are how we are facilitating showings and so on right now, that's not changing. There is nothing saying that any of that is changing in our industry anytime soon. Yeah. And speaking of that, one of the things too that I've been reading a lot of is how is our industry going to change long term? What's changed and what is going to change long term for us? Yeah. And I think if we don't take this time to learn something, then we're making a big mistake. I think we have learned things. I think that we've learned that there are a lot of virtual tools that we can be using and using better to better qualify buyers, to inconvenience our sellers less, because those buyers that are coming through their homes are qualified, and that we're sure that people aren't just like flipping through 10 houses just because they have a list to go through. We can do our jobs better, I believe, than we have in the past. And I think we have learned that there are virtual tools available to us that we can be using more and using better. And I think that's a great thing. Let's hope we learn something positive.
For sure. And, there's nothing, like you said, there's nothing more frustrating. And we know it is the nature of listing your house. Showings are extremely inconvenient. You and I have each sold our own homes. You add children to the mix, pets, all these things. It's super difficult. So, there's nothing more frustrating than, somebody wheeling in, knowing it's not for them right away, but it is a necessary evil. But if we can even minimize that a little bit, I know something you and I just did as standard practice was we always had virtual tours attached anyways. We always had videos. So that part really doesn't change for us really as much, but I think we're going to see a lot of other people in our industry. I think we'll see more of it, to be honest. And I think even having conversations with our clients, I know sometimes they feel stressed out because of their work, or they're out of town for work, and even having, talking about an offer, things like that. I think everybody's getting a little bit more comfortable with these Zoom type meetings and FaceTime.
Right. We're going to find a lot of meetings that are in person aren't necessary anymore because we can do this so effectively.
Right. Like you and me and our clients can all be chatting like we're chatting around a dinner table, and it doesn't have to be so inconvenient for the kids, for people to wait till their kids are, they feel really stressed out about all being at the same place at the same time. And I think it's kind of becoming, people are always afraid of this video stuff, and we don't normally do a lot of this either. But I think people are just becoming more. Yes, clearly. People are getting a little more used to this way of communication. Again, our industry was very lucky that we did do virtual signings and things already. So that wasn't so difficult. Whereas I know a lot of industries had to panic at the last minute and try to implement this right away. So we can do a lot of things virtually, but still keep that personal connection, that people don't feel like they're not being communicated to. So
I think what the thing is too is because open houses were the first thing to go, public open houses, and we don't tend to find those to be they're not always useful. I mean, it's a tool, but we don't always find the greatest results come from those. But what I do love is that the use of virtual open houses, whether that's for realtors or whether that's for the public. I think that that's going to be a tool we're going to see going forward. It kind of ensures that lots of people have access to that open house, so to speak. And also, a lot of times what we see is lots of neighbors that like to come and check it out and so on. And so, if we can actually get those open houses out to more people by doing them virtually, how great. And a lot of times realtors are busy on any given day when we're doing a specific day and time for a realtor's open house. So to be able to do those virtually, I think is also going to get that information to agents that we work with that have qualified buyers. And that's always a huge benefit to our clients. So,
for sure. Like that's one tool that we do find super beneficial is, communicating listings with the other agents. Because really, that's why we have our association, is to all work together to match up buyers and sellers. At the end of the day, that's our job.
Right? That's the power of having all of the 425 agents or whatever it is in our area that have qualified buyers. That's why you have your house listed on MLS. That's the reason.
Absolutely. So I do think it'll change things. I am super happy that, you know, that we haven't seen necessarily prices just plummeting and people bailing from their houses right now. I think there are going to be some factors that it's just too early to tell. And the quicker people get back to work is huge. So that will be, you know, people who might have been laid off. Hopefully that means it's temporary, that we're talking a few months. And if they combine either EI or the, you know, the new program from, CURB from the federal government to help tide them over. And if it's only, you know, for that temporary time, I know when people, you know, definitely the biggest fear was, you know, how long is this going to last? And, you know, there's tons of challenges and extra things. That's the unknown, is how long everything's shut down for. Obviously that can have longer effects. So Saskatchewan, keep washing your hands.
Let's keep doing what we were doing. Be mindful that this is not over until it's over. Be grateful that we've done such a good job here in our province and that we are able to start opening things up. So because not most important, the health crisis is the most important thing, but the financial crisis is right behind it. And we know there are lots of people that are wanting to get back to work so they can try and get some sense of normal back. And so for those people who are going to be allowed to do that right away, good for you. And the rest will follow if we all do our jobs properly. So anyway, so you know what, there's so much for us to talk about. We're going to come back and do more of these. And I think next week or maybe the week after, we're going to start involving some other people, some industry professionals and in conversations with us and bring you some more valuable information as far as, you know, mortgage approvals and what's going on with the legal side and how they're dealing with things. Maybe we'll bring a home inspector in to talk with us for a bit about some things. And we just want to bring as much information as we can to you while you're home and thinking about what you're doing as far as buying and selling in the future.
Absolutely. So. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, you know what? Watch for us coming ahead. We do Wine Wednesdays for now while we have the time to do it on Instagram, where we're just chatting with everybody and having a virtual cheers with you all. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Send them, DM us, put them in our comments, and we will answer your questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a great day.
You have a good day, sweetie. We'll see you soon.
You too.
Bye, everybody. End.